Welcome to Frames TM. Before we get started, let me tell you, if you are new to this channel, please do subscribe. And if you have already been here before and have not yet subscribed, you definitely should subscribe. So today we are going to talk about something very interesting.
We'll talk about the Nikon Zf and the Sony A7 Mark II. Mostly it's going to be a conversation on the Nikon Zf and which one should I buy because I've been thinking of buying the Sony A7CII. I've been thinking of buying the Sony A7 for such a long time, but then I felt as if it was not the complete camera, so I kind of waited for the Sony A7 Mark II. And then it came at around the same time when we started seeing the Nikon Zf rumors, finally. And I waited. Now suddenly we have both, right?
Yes.
And the Nikon Zf is like the priced very similarly to the Nikon A7C Mark II. We are slightly invested in the Sony system, but quite heavily invested in the Nikon system. So the question that we have, what we need to decide, very important decision, is which one of these two cameras we should buy. So
Let's start with the comparison. Now, tell me about the shutter speed. Which one do you think has or is a better deal?
So the Sony it doesn't have the highest shutter speed, is 1/4000 of a second. Now for at 2,200 US dollars and almost 1.9 lakh in Indian rupees, I don't think it's a pro feature. I think it's a weakness for the Sony A7C Mark II. Not only that, it also does not have a full mechanical shutter. It has only the front curtain. So in a shutter, typically you'll have two curtains, right? So they move like this. With the Sony A7 II has only one, like the Sony A7C. It has only one curtain, which means you'll have some amount of distortion in the bokeh balls. Now, when you have expensive prime lenses, you don't want distorted bokeh balls. You want beautiful bokeh balls, okay? Number one. And you want to be able to shoot wide open at f1.2 or 1.4, but you have a slow shutter, relatively slow shutters, high shutter speed of 4,000 of a second, which in a bright sunny day, f1.2 lens at f1.2, it's going to be blown out. It's too bright. You need 8,000 of a second shutter speed. For example, when I use the 85 1.2 on the Nikon Z8, I actually use 1/32,000 of a second because that camera can go up to that speed. So 1/8000 of a second for me, for fast lenses, is absolutely an essential, and Sony A7C doesn't have that. Plus the shutter is not fully mechanical, and I think that's it's not a full double curtain shutter, which is I don't like it. I think it's a compromise.
I was not expecting that from Sony though.
Yeah, isn't it? It is only $300 US cheaper than the A7 IV.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Anyway, so
What about IBIS?
So I haven't used the camera, the Zf yet, but I'm going to get it very soon. I think in this week I'm going to get my hands on the camera. And so look out for the review. I'm going to do a quite detailed, in-depth user experience review, plus a bit of technical review, photo quality, image quality, shadows, colors, all those things, video files and all that. Now, Nikon is claiming that this camera, for the first time in Nikon's history, has 8-stop IBIS. 8-stop. Now, Sony says their IBIS is vastly improved, but real life, all the reviews that I've seen, the A7C II, it has got decent IBIS, but it doesn't you don't see marked difference between the A7C II and A7 IV. It can detect where you're focusing and reorient your IBIS system accordingly, which means you're going to have much more efficient IBIS system, especially if you're vlogging, especially for wide angle lenses. When you have corner warpings, you're not going to see that. So it's a bit technical, but I hope I've been able to communicate. It's supposed to be much better, but of course I have to test it and see. All the reviews that I've seen, I think it's quite decent.
So wait for a review we are going to test that this weekend.
Yeah. So
So-
far it looks like the Nikon Zf is winning. I think.
So far,
Yeah.
but we have got more points to discuss about.
What?
Everyone has been little excited about the look of ZF. So how would
Yeah.
you compare that with the Sony?
You have seen the camera, right?
I have seen.
Now,
yeah.
you tell me, you've seen the Sony A7C, you've seen the Sony A7C Mark II, and you've seen the pictures of ZF. Which one would you prefer? Just from the... And you've
The
seen the
look of it?
ZF-C also.
Just the look of it.
Yeah.
I think I would go with the ZF. I don't know. That's a very tough question because I don't know whether I'll be able to put it in the right words. For me, it gives a very classy look, and it looks more like a lifestyle camera, which I can just carry with me in my bag all
Yeah.
the time, probably.
And impress
So-
people.
Yeah,
It's like-
I mean, it's something which I can show people.
Yeah.
It's got great looks, definitely.
So it's like a camera that doubles up as an accessory.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
what I mean when
it's
I
like
say
it's like the purse,
like a
like a
bag.
vanity bag.
Yeah.
The vanity camera. It can be a vanity camera for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be actually. So I don't think anyone wins there. If you
Yeah.
have preference for a lifestyle looking camera, you can go for the...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just, I think, a matter of personal choice and preference. So some people would like to have that. Some people are just okay without it. But I think at the end of the day, what is more important for all of us is how the camera works for you when you need it. That
No.
experience is what matters more. Let's
You
let's
mean-
move on. What else do you have? I mean, what makes you choose?
So the Sony has single card. Like, you know what the Nikon ZF has done is fantastic. They have actually given you two card slots in a tiny body, and they have made. It's just that one card is a tiny micro SD card, but it's very smart. You don't have to take it out. You can keep that card always inside your camera and just put the JPEGs there or put the backups there. And if the main card has any problem, only then you take out that tiny small card. Otherwise, you just keep it there. When your main card is working fine, you download the files and you format the card inside the camera. Always. You don't take it out. You only take it out when the main card is failing. Now, let's talk about the EVF. Do you think that the EVF is important for you?
It's not important for me. I rarely use the EVF.
Oh, no.
But I know there are a lot of them for whom it is important, especially the ones who are into professional photography. I use it for my own pleasure and passion.
Yeah, I think it's not that. It's just anyway. I think the bigger EVF is for people who want an EVF. A bigger EVF is better. And the Sony A7CII, I don't think it's just unfulfilling. Even if it is now, I mean, I think it's a better EVF than apparently the previous generation A7C, but it's still not, I think, good enough. Now, do you know the A7C II is actually light? It's 500 something grams.
Seriously?
Yes, and
Wow.
this Nikon ZF is 710. It's heavier than the Z6 II. Can you believe that? And it doesn't have a grip. But it's a solidly built body, fully metallic and all that, and brass tops. Which, like, when I get the ZF, we have not decided, but if I get the ZF, I'm gonna just like Rishi has done. Yeah, watch his video.
I know. He's just
It looks so
the
beautiful.
brass kind
Just-
of a look. Yeah.
When the brass reveals itself, it looks beautiful. It's like some amazing stuff. Beautiful.
I think that ends your list.
No, no, there's more.
Seriously.
Yes, the Nikon ZF has this new feature called, like, I don't know what it's called, but you know what it does is that when you're using the camera with a manual lens, because this is a kind of a camera where you'd probably like to use a manual or retro style manual lens and just take your time and shoot. Now, the camera can still detect the eye of the person, the subject, even when you use a manual focus lens, okay? And then you are adjusting focus and you think you have got the eye sharply in focus, but you're not sure. The moment you press a button to zoom on into the person, because the camera detects the eye, it will zoom into the eye and then show you whether you are in perfect focus or not, right? So
This is definitely
This
a
is amazing.
big feature, because I often find it really difficult, especially when I'm using a manual lens, because I'm not able to understand whether, this is the time that I should actually click, because I'm not able to completely understand whether it's in focus or
Yeah.
not. So it's
If you can
probably going to
zoom
help
in,
me.
if you
Yeah.
can zoom in exactly where you're trying to focus, not zoom in generally in one part of the image where you're not trying to focus. Then you have to find, oh, I don't know, you're trying to focus here, the camera zoomed in here, then you have to again adjust, and then it's a lot of work. So that's one great new feature.
That's a great new feature.
That's an innovation. I'm great to see that Nikon has actually brought in a new innovation in a $2,000 camera, which is I would say today's day and age, it's an entry level full frame camera, because even crop sensor cameras from Fuji are as expensive as the 2,000 or 200, 2,500 US dollars. Now,
And I think, and I think a lot of people who have got manual lens, probably they'll find it more easy to use, and the ones who are very new to this camera world, they can buy some manual lens, invest in some manual lens, which probably should be cheap. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good way to
it's a big
experiment
range.
something.
It's a big range.
Yeah.
There can be cheap annual lenses which are old and new. The Chinese manufacturers like Brighton, Viltrox, I mean, Seven Artisans, TT Artisans. There are so many right now. But also slightly more expensive lenses like Voigtlander or Laowa, Venus Optics. So you have a whole range there. You can also get a $8,000 knocked from Nikon if you want to.
Yeah.
Right, so this is an entire range, but it's that experience that you're looking for,
Yes.
and that's what matters.
Okay, I think you have discussed enough, and I'm sure you can just keep going on, but I think it's time that you should decide on what you would like to choose if you have to buy one of the two.
Yeah,
What's your vote goes for which
after
one?
this conversation? What do you think?
I think there are.
And let me tell you, the Sony A7C II is $2,200 US dollars. The Nikon Zf is $2,000 US dollars. Okay, so which one do you think makes more sense? Remember, the A7C II is actually lighter, much lighter. With the grip, it's more than 200 grams lighter.
I think I'll go with the ZF.
Yeah. So
I would go with the ZF.
So I can book the ZF.
No.
What?
No. How many cameras are you going to buy? Are you not going to buy the Z6 III? Do you think ZF is going to be Z6 III is going to be better than ZF, or ZF is better? Is there a comparison? Is there a comparison?
I think it's going to be a more expensive camera, so it's probably.
So how many are you going to buy now? ZF and then Z6 III?
I mean, look.
What are you going to do with the ones which you already have? You said you want to buy a ZF because you want to use it for street photography. What are you going to do with your Fuji and the Z30 that you have? Are you going to sell them off? I think you should wait.
For what?
Z6 III.
I don't know when it's going to come out. Nikon doesn't talk about the Z6 III. It is so surprising. I think it's time for Nikon to talk about the Z6 III so that we can at least plan our purchases. And that's exactly what these companies don't want that. Because, once okay, how long to wait, how much to budget for the next camera. They want your money today, because then there's a time cost of money. So, plus it's a Nikon channel. What are going to people? What will people say if I don't buy the ZF? You see, this is pressure.
Tell me one thing. If you have to just summarize in one line as to why you want to go with the ZF and not with the Sony,
I think that's an amazing question. If you don't have a camera, or you are using a very old camera, then definitely go. If you have to upgrade today, a full frame camera that's very well rounded, I think the ZF is a very, very well rounded modern mirrorless camera in a very stylized retro looking body, not necessarily retro body. So there is a lot of merit in going for the ZF, especially if you don't have a camera, if your camera is old, or maybe you want a backup camera. But I'm not too sure about professionals who need a backup camera, because the backup camera has to sort of mirror and mimic the experience of your main camera. If you're using a Z9 or a Z8 and suddenly the entire thing changes, you have a ZF now because something has gone wrong with the Z8. As a second camera, a second shooter's camera, I think it's not the same. It's not a seamless experience to move from a Z8 to a ZF. So I don't buy this argument that this is a great second camera for a pro. I think this is a camera that's dedicated for a certain kind of usage. I think it's a pleasure camera. I think it's a collector's item. I think that has a lot of value. I think it's a camera that's meant for aesthetics. Photographers are people, creative people. They have creative eye. They're looking for beautiful things. They want to create beautiful things. They want to evoke emotions. And because they're emotional people, I think that emotional reasons to go for the ZF is much more important than the function reasons. But even then, even there, the ZF wins for the function reasons against the A7C II. I think I have a very compelling argument there. But for the new camera, not honestly, it depends on your life stage, your budget. If you're going to retire now and have a lot of cash with you and you have like nothing else to do, go for the ZF. If you're a young guy and picking up photography for the first time, you should start with a full frame camera, which allows you to learn so much from the manual dials. Go with the Nikon Zf. Really, honestly, you will not regret. If you're someone who loves traveling, you're not using camera for professional reasons, not using camera for everyday use, you want something that's sort of flat and pocketable, not pocketable, at least bag holdable, Nikon Zf is fantastic. So I just don't understand Nikon Zf for wildlife user as a wildlife camera, because I've seen some reviews like someone is shooting birds and how can you use that for wildlife? It's absurd. Honestly, it is absurd. Just because it has animal IAF doesn't mean this is a wildlife camera. It doesn't. You shoot like house, like domestic birds if there are any with it. It's okay. Don't go into Africa with this camera. It's absurd. And if you're a wedding photographer, don't buy the ZF. Wait for the Z6III. And if you're in a real hurry and you don't mind moving into the Sony system, go with the A7CII, not bad, because it's at least got a grip. Okay. But then there are compromises I talked about. A7C, A7 IV is a much better camera. Much better idea is to really wait for the Z6 Mark III. So how was your experience of coming onto the channel and discussing this very important topic?
Please don't ask me these questions. I don't have answers.
Oh, okay. So how you want to say bye right now?
I would like to say bye and go off to sleep. It's already quite late.
And
I was just awake because he wanted me to be there in one of the videos. So, but let's see how it goes, whether I will be able to join him.
And if you want her to come again and again, so please write that in the comment. If you want her back, she's Tripti, by the way. I forgot. Then please write that in the comment section, because I have to really convince her to come on. Like I've been trying to make her come on the channel for like what? The last...
more than a year.
Yeah, more than a year. I was going to say 6 months, but honestly, it's like 2 years. And finally, she said, "Okay, yes, to it today." And this is past midnight, well past midnight. Let me tell you, this is it's past 2:00 in the morning. So if you wanted to come back, write that in the comment section. I'll try to convince her. I don't know. I cannot promise. I don't know if I'm going to be successful or it's going to be another 2 years before she comes onto the end, but comes onto the channel. I have to speak so fast because she wants to run away right now. See you.
I think I should keep the mic now. Otherwise, he's just going to continue. See you.
Subscribe. Ask them to subscribe.
Huh. I think I should keep the mic now. Otherwise, he's just going to continue. And before I leave, let me just remind you once again, do not forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. And if you are already there, you have been coming to this channel, make sure that you have already subscribed to it. I don't know, how did I say this?
See you with the next video soon. See you in the next video soon.
See you in the next video.
Soon.
Bye bye. Bye bye.